All right, what is going on, Banter fan? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, Hustle, and as always, we will be diving into the NFT gaming market and crypto gaming markets today, as I'm excited to welcome CEO of Wasder, Thomas Grønnevik, onto the stream today. Thomas, how are you today?
I'm very, very good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to dive into this with you and just go over everything regarding, your background, your platform, the very impressive team that you have, obviously the very strong statistics with the download numbers and all that good stuff. So thank you for joining me. And as always, guys, if you like the video, if you are bullish on Wasder, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And Thomas, I'll give you the floor really quick if you want to intro yourself for anyone who might not be familiar with you or your background.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Thomas. Born and raised in a very conservative business family. So we did fish farms and real estate and shipping and that kind of stuff. When I was 17, started my first company, did my first exit at 18, and then after that moved into gaming. Worked a little bit with the social media pages for EA and Funcom and that stuff, and then later on moved out of gaming and into tech because gaming didn't pay enough, and then did the whole business journey with business to business and sales executive and corporate and mergers and acquisitions, and then eventually started my own companies again later on. And then in 2017, started this company. It was funny because the first pitch deck business plan we have for this company was 180 pages. And the first investor I sat down with, he just looked at me and he's like, I'm not reading this. I'm not reading a 180 page deck. Come back with 20. Now he's the chairman of the board. So he's amazing and an extraordinary human. So that's the very short about my background.
Yeah, and how did you get into the Web3 game, Web3 gaming side of things? Where did that come into play? What year or what time period did you get into crypto and Web3?
So it's actually interesting because I actually got into it later than a lot of the other people in the team. Obviously, Sami, who is on the team, who's our CCO and one of my best friends and investors, and he bought Ethereum at $1. That's the story he always tells people, which is true. But he also sold at $20, which is the part he never. That's the part he never tells people. But yeah, no, I got in a lot later. For me, going into Web3 was I've always been good at watching what's going to happen with trends in an industry or in industries overall. And obviously, at this point, we had founded Wasder, and the vision of Wasder was clear and had been laid. And we realized that Web3 allows us to blockchain technologies, and that mentality allows us to solve a lot of the value-based stuff, social values and impact values, and create a user experience that we wanted to do better than traditional tech does. So it actually, for us, it was for me, it was a tech choice that I believe we can create positive change in an industry that needs it. Yeah, so it was a tech choice for Wasder that actually put me into it. And obviously now I'm fairly well connected in it, but that has kind of come as a consequence of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the platform is going to serve a lot of good for the Web3 gaming community where, crypto Twitter is one thing and, Discord and all that. But I think that Wasder would be a good place for a gamer to come in and collaborate with those communities inside of games, inside the Web3 structure, especially once we get more community-driven games in the market. Right now, there's not a lot of games that me and you, I feel like, could hop in and play that's a lot of fun together. You know what I mean? So I think when social elements come more into the space, I think that the app and the platform in general could fulfill a lot of those needs. And for anyone who might not be familiar with what is Wasder, so give the TLDR if someone's brand new to the platform. Can you give a description of Wasder?
So it's funny. That's actually one of the things where we, as a team, sometimes had the hardest thing explaining because it's so large. Because typically, what everybody does is they make one thing and they do that really, really well. What we try to do is bring all of these behaviors together. So very, very brief. The too long didn't read version of it would be that Wasder is a multifunctional social gaming platform that has a massive toolbox for both players and the people making games, so that you actually have the ability to serve all of the player behaviors that you need to solve, whether that's expressing yourself, or it's communicating with your friends, or finding people to play with, or exploring new games, or finding information about a game. We kind of try to put all of those things, that entire user funnel, into one place. Think of it a little bit like, and this is one of the things that one of the investors always says, is it's a little bit like if Facebook, Reddit, Discord, Tinder had a baby in terms of functionality, in one spot.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that the need there comes in a lot in this space, whether it's the Facebook or the Tinder side. I think that it could be that perfect matchmaking platform for Web3 gaming. And so obviously this started as a Web2 platform primarily, correct?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's think of it like, if you look at what happens when you interact with the game, whether that's Web2 or Web3, is that you hear about the game, right? Whether that's on Twitter or Tinder, or a message from a friend, or an ad, doesn't really matter. So you hear about a game, and then you do some research on it. This is typically where you use Google, and then you start looking at YouTube clips or Twitch clips, or reading about it on Google or a website. And then the next step is you decide to pick it up. So then you go buy it or download it, and then you need to find someone to play it with, and then you need to communicate with someone in that game and the people that you play it with, and then you want to learn more about it. So every step along those way, every one of those steps has different places that you typically have to go and download. We just try to do that funnel, and that's the same for Web 2 and Web 3. It's the users, what the users wants to do is the same. The only thing that's different is the tech.
Yeah, and this is all familiar gaming stuff, party invites, party chats, friends lists. This is all an integral part of gaming that we all grew up with. I grew up in the era of the transition of, 64 Super NES into PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, and then the transcending over to the next gen consoles, and really what took over to PC gaming. So I feel like I've seen every element of that over time that evolved. And right now, we're in that early stage of Web3 gaming, as I mentioned, where a lot of these games are single player. The gameplay loop doesn't induce much of a social aspect whatsoever, where you can have fun on a Twitch stream, let's just say, as an example. There's not a lot of games that you can hop on Twitch and sustain a viewer base because of the game. Like, the games purely aren't entertaining enough yet to do that in this industry. So apps like yours, in my opinion, are actually in front of that tide that will come whenever there is that social aspect, and people are looking for those applications to make it easier to find a player base and friends to play with and party up with friends inside of these ecosystems. So as far as that transition to Web 2 to Web 3, whenever the company, I believe the token went live earlier this year, is that correct?
And 1 year live ago, actually, or live a year ago. So the token has been live for about a year, but we haven't. Okay. It hasn't been in the product, and therefore we haven't talked about it.
Right. So I guess my question there was gonna be, when did the trigger in your head switch to move Wasder, or not really even move, but integrate into the Web3 side of things? Because that's obviously a big jump to take as an app and as a platform. So when did that come into the decision-making fold? And then what made you eventually want to make that jump to this side of things?
So there's three different reasons. Number one is actually less connected to tokens and more connected to NFTs. So an item being an NFT, look, gamers have had digital items for a long time. If you go on Steam, or you Google "can't trade item on Steam," you'll see the issues with digital items in the Steam case. So what NFTs does, realistically, the only thing it really solves is it gives you as the consumer the ability to do with it as you please. It also allows us to collaborate with partners in a way where they can get stuff with us and they can still use it in the game, and it's still held by you as a consumer. So it started there. But then you get to the point where you're like, okay, so how does people pay for these items? What happens if they want to sell it to someone else? What if I want to tip a content creator? What if I want to pay to be part of a tournament? And since we're a global product, what we realized was that if the moment you start dealing with money, there's different regulations and different tech in all the different countries. What blockchain does is very simple. It gives me one system, one tech, one solution that is global, works everywhere. And if you as a consumer want to control what you have, you can simply take it and go to somewhere else and control it and monetize off of it and do that side of it, which means that we don't have to build that. So again, it's a tech choice. digital currencies are something that's known to gamers for a long time. Most of the behaviors that we will do with it is known to gamers. It's been done for 15 years. The only thing is that, again, using this type of currency saves us money, makes it better for the community, and it gives the community tangible value of their own stuff, and it provides a really, really, really good use case for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the mindset there. And then just while on that topic of the transition to Web3, before we dive too much into Wasder and the platform and what to expect, what's your overall hypothesis or thesis on the industry, Web3 gaming, NFTs, and games in the future? How far do you see this going? First time we've really had this conversation on the space or anything like that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how far do you see NFT gaming and crypto gaming, so to speak, going in the future? Do you think it's going to become big enough where these big studios actually move their flagship games to the NFT side of things? Or how far do you see this industry going when it comes to the gaming side?
I absolutely think it will. I think that there's too much financial power behind that transition, too much structural stuff happening to not do it. And that's everyone's going to make that switch. I'm going to say something that's going to be probably a little bit unpopular here, but what I hope will happen is that people will stop calling it Web3 gaming and crypto gaming and NFT gaming and just call it gaming, because it's a little bit like when you switch over emails, people don't say, are you using an OAuth email or are you using it? No, it's an email. What you log in with is a tech choice. Web3 and blockchain is a tech choice. So digital items and gaming items are going to be gaming items. I just think that most of them are going to be NFTs because it moves it to the consumer. The good thing about doing that is that the gaming industry is going to have to go through one giant shift, which is the way they monetize. It's going to force a change there that a lot of big publishers today is very uncomfortable with. Because have you ever played FIFA?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so imagine that you have your foot points, right? Or your a player card. If that is not an NFT and you don't have control of it, the good thing for the company, for EA with that, is that you can't trade it. So when you're done playing, and I want to play FIFA, but you're not playing FIFA, you can't just give it to me, because if you gave it to me, I have no reason to buy it from EA, right? By making it an NFT and giving me that opportunity and selling it to me, now you take that opportunity away from EA. The big companies are very uncomfortable with that thought because it's a lot of money we're talking about. What I think they're going to change to, which is actually better for them, in my opinion, is that every time you make that sale, it's baked into the contract that they now make a royalty.
Exactly.
So it's less of an instant sale model and a lot more of a royalty recurring revenue type of model. And that's which will happen. It's going to take a few years, but it will, 100%.
I agree. And I think that what they are overlooking, like you said, with the royalty aspect, that's like taking your game to GameStop. And whenever the company doesn't make any money off the $3 they give you for the game, at least they do get a little bit of kickback on every transaction of their game, so to speak, to put it in that Web 2 specific style of a term. But when you look at the future of games, I completely seeing this as a win for players and studios, as they can get more than one touch point on microtransactions. So when they put something on the store and the store has it on for a month, for example, then you actually are able to have that limited edition skin and then have people transact that later on. Season 1 battle pass, season 2, season 3, and then season 1 has more value than season 3 down the line because it's not sold anymore. And instead of the one touch point, you actually have multiple touch points to these ecosystems for the studio to monetize it as well as the players. So it feels like it's one-sided right now. I think studios think they're giving too much profits back to the players, but in reality, it's actually just creating a stronger ecosystem where the players are more tied to their assets because they actually digitally own them, and then where the studios are actually making more touch points on their consumers per item.
Yep. I mean, look, it's not a money loss for the industry at all, but it's a shift, and shifting a business model for a big company takes a long time, and it's really hard to do. And in some cases, it's almost impossible, and that's why they're extremely uncomfortable with it. So instead, what they try to do is have a lot of these big gaming influencers, without mentioning names, talk a lot of crap about items that are, and most of the stuff that they say is just complete and utter BS and lies. It's like the last one about Minecraft. It's not possible to be this uninformed. Well, it is, but it shouldn't be. But yeah, you're muted.
Yeah, I was muted there. It's actually hypocritical a bit too. If you saw last week's announcement with obviously the Minecraft banning NFTs, and they say that it's not an inclusive technology, I actually think it is an inclusive technology because once again, you actually own the asset. You're tied to an inclusive experience of having a stake in the success of the assets and the games. Theoretically, like that gives you a tangible stake in the game's success instead of you just pouring your pockets into these games' pockets. Yeah, to be
But
honest.
not only that. I mean, read the statement. They, in the end of their own statement, they're actually opening. It was like, yeah, we might go back on this, but right now we're gonna keep it. Like we're gonna ban it, but we might go back on it if this changes. And they already do all the stuff that they could do with NFTs. They already do. They use it in a tech in a way that where the consumer don't have control of the tech. That's the only difference.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And you know this to be true too, because whenever Microsoft announced that they bought Activision for $69 billion, they mentioned that this could be a part of their metaverse initiatives. And Microsoft notoriously is pulling the strings behind Minecraft. So, put the strings together there. I think that they're just a little behind on the technology and the rollout plan, and they don't want people capitalizing on their IP in the meantime. That would be my opinion.
And
But
funny thing about Minecraft, if you actually scroll down to our team and you
yep,
look at
there
our
you
team and if you take Marcus, who is it says creative lead and VP of marketing, and that's not true. He's the creative director. Again, website's a little outdated. He actually wrote or did most of the most successful marketing for Minecraft. So
Wow.
he was the creative director behind that.
And then, if I remember correctly, there's some team members from App Store giants like Candy Crush on the team as well.
Yep. So Anna, who she's our chief product officer, she was the lead producer for Candy Crush.
Okay.
I mean, Anna is one of the most brilliant talents I've ever seen in my life. I mean, she's extraordinary, young, smart, and she is gonna go further. She has the ability to take the best qualities of the rest of our team and combine it in one person. She's gonna be incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. And having that veteran experience in the App Store, mobile gaming space, advertising space, obviously, Candy Crush was one of those games that was at the forefront of like the advertising wave on applications for games to monetize their product. So I definitely seeing that being a strong suit as far as the team goes. And let's talk about the app. Obviously, what are some of your favorite current features on the app that you think will resonate with Web3 gaming down the line, as well as some stuff that you're excited for on the platform over the next few months? If you can give any alpha for the community here.
So if I break the behaviors on the application down currently, look, and I told you this off record, but if you ask anyone in our team, they're all going to say it's a demo product. Now, obviously, our metrics don't reflect that. Our metrics actually beat most of the big, like very established products on the market, but in our case it is. So if I break down what you can currently do in it, I would break it down into posting comments, so the Twitter behavior. I'd break it down into obviously commenting and liking. I'd break it down into matchmaking, so finding people to play with. I'd break it down into the follow-up, which is chatting with those people, and then creating group chats. That's the stuff. And then obviously you can update your profile, you can have your friends list, there's a bunch of other stuff you can do, but I would break it down into those 5 cores. And then what we've done is we've added literally like a questing system on top of that. So a game, what we call a battle pass, which is a seasonal. Every 2 weeks, we start a new season with a partner, where the more you do of those different things, the more progress you make and the more rewards you get. So right now you're getting stickers that you can use in conversations, and you will be able to use in posts on the feed, on profiles, on character items, on stuff that let me put it this way: those stickers will have a lot more use cases than they do right now. I'll get back to that. But then if you get to the end of the pass, you're actually getting NFTs from the game. So with Gods of Asgard, which is this season, if you get to the end of the pass, you have a chance of actually walking away with a completely customized, it's a Wasder customized theme of the in-game characters in Gods of Asgard. So no, you'll never be able to get that stuff anywhere else. And the only way to get it now, after this season is done, is from someone who got it. You can also get one of the Odin NFTs, which is the most powerful NFT that you have in that game. And this is going to be recurring for every partner we have, that you'll get in-game stuff from the pass, either on every item that you mint them directly, or we do that for you. For you, it just feels like you're picking it up, or if you get to the end of the pass. So right now, obviously, I'm super excited about that because it has caused engagement to go through the roof. I mean, to give you an example, Gods of Asgard has like 500 posts and well over 6,000 comments, which means that you're talking every single time someone mentioned that game, there's at least 10 positive comments and a bunch of likes on it, which is unheard of for any brand on social media. And they're super happy with the engagement, obviously, because it's thousands of percent above all their other social touch points. And they've done an amazing job of engaging with the community. Like, they've done an amazing job at engaging with the community. But what I would say is, of the stuff that's coming, man, there's a rebrand coming, look and feel, which will make it feel like the most modern platform out there. But that's a visual and user experience upgrade. Then it's upgrades to the Wasder Pass, where every item becomes an NFT, which obviously I'm mega excited about. And that also means that some items will be rare, which means that you will need WAS in order to get them. So there's going to be some that you can earn, and then there are going to be some that you have to pick up with WAS, which means you have to have WAS, which means that obviously there will be a wallet system and a wallet integration, which means that every one of our users, which is quite significant, will be having a wallet and interacting with chain in a way that is easy and seamless and fun, which will make us, in terms of active users, one of the biggest players in all of blockchain, without a question. And so obviously I'm excited about that. New profiles, meaning what we call a showroom. So without showing you, because then my creative director will kill me, imagine, for the sake of argument, that we build a character system where you build a virtual representation of yourself with everything from a body type to skin layers to sticker layers to accessories to replaceable head shapes. And every season they're branded from the partner. So imagine that you're building a Gods of Asgard base character that is representing yourself, and then you put stickers from, I can't announce partners, different partners all over it with different weapons from different games. So you create something that's completely unique. And then in the background, instead of having an image like we have now, there's a full-on room, a 3D room that you can fill with stuff. So you have your character, and then behind there you can show all your NFTs from different games. So you can basically create like a showroom of your stuff. And obviously, again, you need WAS to pick up a lot of things too. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, I see some avoid there too, because right now, as an NFT collector, you have OpenSea, and some collections are on OpenSea that you can show off and show someone your NFT portfolio, for example. But I will say a lot of these different games that are chain agnostic, they have their own little websites on a marketplace that you have to link the wallet to find the inventory. There's no like public wallet to go in and take a look at like your gaming inventory in different types of games, especially if you want to showcase those assets, if you have rare characters, etc. So I think it's a really cool way to diversify each game and be able to take a look inside of your characters and your maps or your land, whatever you have accrued inside of these games, to be able to show that off, kind of like an OpenSea as well. Because I know a lot of games that I play, either their assets are stored off chain until you transact them, or they are simply on their own little blockchain, on their own marketplace, which doesn't really bode well for having a public ledger to kind of, like you said, if someone gets a rare skin, they can kind of flex that, as we know that is big in the gaming world.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Most of these PFP projects, what they do is, like, if you take PFP projects as an example, what you can realistically do, for example, on Twitter, is you can use it as a profile picture, right? What I wanted to do is not only be your profile picture, but I want you to be able to showcase it in a room. So basically an inventory, but fancier. And I want you to be able to use it to access closed areas like keys. I want you to be able to use them as keys, whether that is the party chats or to teams or different other stuff that's coming. And I want you to be able to do stuff with it, play it in the game. So I actually want your profile to be a little bit like like the picture that me and you have right now, right? So you build the character, the virtual character comprised of NFTs, and then you have the room in the background where you have some stuff sitting on your shelf. I have whiskey sitting on my shelf, and those would be NFTs. It just that I want to build that virtual representation inside of social media. So that becomes your profile, in other words.
Yeah, it's a really cool integration and way to actually make the profile picture real life in a way,
Yeah.
tangible to you in a way. So I think that's really unique. And as far as the timeline, what can we expect? More games onboarding towards Wasder over the next 3 6 months to a year. What's the plans for the rest of the year as far as onboarding more users, as well as I know there's got to be a push to get more Web3 games. Producing multiplayer content that induces social elements, and B, I'm sure that you guys are looking to heavily onboard those quality games over the back half of the year. Is there anything you could leave us with as far as what to expect for anyone interested for the next couple of months, or let's just say for the rest of 2022?
I've teased a lot of these things like in drops in different places and pieces in different places. So I'll try to connect more of the dots of the shit that I've left spread around. So what will happen in terms of timeline is we're wrapping up a fundraising round now. To give a very, very blunt overview of where that is, a big portion of it is done. A little piece is still missing in terms of negotiations. So once that's done, the immediate next thing that happens is that, and there's some players in that round that I'm exceptionally happy with. Way bigger. The partner side is also way outdated. I'll touch on that in a second. But so there's some stuff there that is huge. Then what we're gonna do, we're hiring about 15 more people at the same time as scaling up user growth. So right now we have a partnership with Google, we have a partnership with Snapchat, and then we have one of the investors in the round that's great on the media side. Which means we can add about 1 million users a month, give or take, going forwards when we're done with the round. So we'll scale up the team, we'll scale up that. Then we're gonna upgrade the product. So you're gonna see a visual and user experience upgrade. You'll see the integrations of NFTs on the pass. You'll see wallets integrations, obviously. And then the actual usage of WAS to pick up items. And then you're gonna see an upgrade to the way you express yourself, the way you find friends, the way you interact with games. And you're going to see an upgrade in what we've done a lot of now, which is that every season we onboard, as you said, we onboard games so that we build that interaction. We give studios and game makers and creators the ability to interact with an audience and engage with the audience. And what we call game spaces, which is something that we're extremely strong on already, which is what Gods of Asgard, for example, has done. You can easily go in and see all the content about Gods of Asgard in one place inside the product. What that does is it allows them to talk back and forth. So every 2 weeks, we'll onboard either 1 or 2 new partners every 2 weeks. And we currently have, I'd say we've covered the rest of the year in partners realistically, but I'm going to move some stuff around because there are a few others I want in, but we have the rest of the year covered. And we have several hundred that has asked us to be on there for the future as well. So every 2 weeks, we'll onboard a new community. The way that we judge it, because I'm sure there's some people that see this who's going to be, you have a game. So we judge this we're pretty strict on this. We put game first, meaning if you're making a quality game, you have a public team, you have a good game, you focus on creating a good user experience and a good game experience for the consumers, and then you use Web3 technologies of blockchain and digital currencies to do so, or you don't use it at all, then we want to talk to you. If you are a NFT or crypto project, so you have a currency or an NFT, and you make a game in order to create a use case for that stuff, don't bother coming to us. We're not, you can obviously get a game space, you can onboard your community and use all of the interaction tools, but we're not featuring you on the pass. Not going to happen.
Makes sense. No, quality over anything in this
Yeah.
space, and linking up with people that you have the same ideologies and development, game style, community driven aspects that you want in the communities involved with Wasder. So I really think that that's a strong way to go about it and vetting these games and onboarding more onto the protocol. Thomas, I really appreciate your time. I know we were a little late. That's my bad on that side. But I really enjoyed everything we talked about on this edition. And I think we'll definitely have you on again as the app develops. I know it's, as far as the Web3 side of things, I know it's still very early for Wasder to, roll out everything that it's going to. So excited for everything to come with the app. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. I'll leave it at this, though, because there's one thing I will say. So we've seen a lot of numbers jumping around with how many active users and how many downloads we have. And I think the good place to clear that up is probably here, because let's just say those numbers are inaccurate.
Okay.
Everybody's talking about roughly 1 million downloads, and I think they're saying 250,000 users monthly. The real number is we're about to hit 1.5 million downloads, and we have about 800,000 registered users. We have, over the last 30 days, 337,000 monthly active. And in terms of engagement, we're sitting at an extremely high engagement per user in either one of those 5 behaviors, typically. So, which is one of the reasons why we're onboarding not just like Web3 games or indie games, medium-sized publishers, but why we've signed global music superstars, why we've signed AAA games. And I mean, when I say AAA games, I'm not talking people who say they're AAA games. I mean AAA by the normal definition AAA games.
Right.
Studios that have publishers that have multiple games and that are recognized by both communities. These are all partners that will be mixed with new and exciting and upcoming games that we think the audience should see. So it's a healthy mix between the two, because that makes it more fun for players. And yeah, it's gonna be good. Hell,
Yeah.
I've even asked you for an intro to a game I really want.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I'm more than happy to make that introduction with the elements of the platform that are existing and to look forward to, especially from the Web3 side. I've said it a lot in this edition, but I think what fills the void the most to me with the platform is that future of more multiplayer games, esports driven games, as well as games that you just want to play with your friends. This is a good interlinking connection to all those different games and ecosystems to be able to participate with other games, get involved with communities in a really seamless way. And guys, I would highly recommend, if you haven't downloaded the Wasder app, it is on the App Store for your Apple iPhone or on Google Play for Android devices. Definitely give the app a run. It's super easy to use. The user interface is very clean, and I would say, whenever the Web3 gaming does pop up on this side, with their content creator tools, their influencer tools, joining communities, guilds, I think there could be a lot of use case in the future for the Web3 side of the
I
app.
think
As usual, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say no. I agree, and I think because I love that you say the Web3 stuff, because I think the question that everyone has, and I know everyone in crypto knows this, is that people say, well, gamers don't like NFTs, gamers don't like Web3, gamers don't like blockchain games, right? The most the games with the most followers in Wall Street is obviously Web2. It's Minecraft, Fortnite, Apex Legends,
Of course.
Roblox, etc. What I will say, though, is that in the last 2 weeks, the game that has been the most talked about, the most followed, the most tagged, and the most engaged with of the Web2 audience is Gods of Asgard, which is a Web3 game. It's a blockchain NFT game, which means we have proven one thing that most people can't say that they can prove, which is that we can bring Web2 audiences to Web3 games. It's all about how do you introduce the game to the audience. And if we can get the whole industry to get that adoption shift is going to happen a million times faster.
Yeah, definitely. And this type of platform could bring the adoption curve to a lot of Web2 gamers in the right way. On community driven side, nothing to do with earnings, nothing to do with tokens, nothing to do with, as we preluded to before the show, Ponzi-nomics, nothing like that. Just good old fashioned gaming with your party, with your friends, and different communities. So yeah, I think it's a great fit for the future. And once again, go ahead.
And I think that's the great thing about crypto. I mean, look, digital currencies is not new to gamers. I mean, just look at the amount of digital currencies used in FIFA, foot points,
right,
or in Candy Crush, gold bars.
2K, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous how much like the only difference is gamers are willing to buy currencies. They just need to have a use case for it. That's it.
Yeah, like gold and RuneScape, these currencies. And now let's just be more specific. The currencies that you buy inside the games, the microtransactions, the FIFA coins, the 2K coins to level up your characters, even the COD coin inside of Call of Duty now is called virtual currency. It's just like or a COD point or like COD points or something like that. But they're literally tokenized mechanics that you are purchasing. But once you cough it over, you don't own any aspect of it. So super excited for the future of the industry. Thomas, once again, thank you so much for joining me on this edition. If you guys like the video, be sure to like the video down below if you are bullish on the future of NFT gaming and on Wasder, and subscribe to the channel for videos here every single day. We'll be back tomorrow with another video here, right here on In the Game. Thomas, thank you for joining me once again. And as always, guys, play well, my friends.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.